Okay, one last check before we call this blocking approved. I just want to spend a bit of time checking over the blocking so far from all angles, just to make sure we're happy with it before moving on to first pass animation. Often you can get so obsessed with the camera view that you forget to check the character from all angles. And while you might think everything is working fine when looking at the camera view, it's only when you have it truly working in 3D space that you can be sure that what the camera sees is correct. Or maybe you're not happy with an aspect of the animation in the camera view, but you can't quite figure out why. 9 times out of 10 you'll see the problem instantly if you just view the animation from another angle. So with that in mind, let's take a look and see what we've got. So checking the perspective view now, let's just look from the front and see what our guy is doing as he jumps. So I think the first thing we could look at is the path of the feet. If I watch those as the feet leave the platform and fly through the air and come to the ground, they maintain their distance pretty much from each other. So it'd be nice to give that some contrast, and I think what would be good is if I move them closer together as he falls to the ground and then have them split apart again as he lands, just for some contrast, some more interest in what that body is doing during its flight. And the second thing I want to look at is just when we land, I just noticed that the whole torso, the whole trunk of his body shifts over to the left just there at the same time. So the hips and the chest move over to the left at the same time, and we're not getting that lead and follow. So I just like the hips to lead and the chest to follow at that point for a more organic motion. And I think actually let's do that right away, and I'll just lean the body over using the body control on frame 69. Just so that the hips travel first and then the chest follows. So it's quite a subtle thing, but that's the kind of thing we're looking for. We're trying to add complexity to the motion, which is going to make it feel more organic. Cool, so I think that's feeling better already, so let's check out those feet. So I want to make them get closer together, so let's see where we're going to start that. So somewhere in here, I think as we start the descent, we'll just pull them in and maybe point the toes in as well, just like that. Oh, sorry, I'm not on a whole keyframe. Let's start that again and pick an actual keyframe. Okay, we'll go on frame 60, just pull those in. Again, we'll point the toes in slightly, just for a sleeker feel, a more athletic feel. And look at that, if you check in the camera view, you can see the effect it's having. I've been working in the perspective view to make it work, but you can see how that works. If I just undo previously, you can see that gap between the feet, but if I bring them closer together, as we're doing in the perspective view, that is having a positive effect on the camera view, because you're feeling that you're getting some contrast in the leg positions, you're getting some squash and stretch in those feet essentially, as they start wide and then squash together and stretch out again as they land. All of those things are going to give the animation just a more appealing and more organic quality, and makes him feel more athletic, more like he knows what he's doing, more superhero. Okay, what else can we find? So how about this initial pose? It's not too great, it's a little bit straight up and down, I'd call it. Let's try and give some different angles by pulling that foot out, which actually already, it's nice, gives them a bit more lean, a little bit more personality there. But now you see when I step through, the foot isn't in the right place. But we can easily adjust that using the graph editor. So if I just undo that and we'll have a look. If we select the foot, just have a look at what axis we need to move. So it's the translate X, it's the yellow bar, which because it's selected, but that would be red, and then I can just grab the red translate X curve, and all these ones that I've selected now are where we are on the platform, and if I push it up, it's going to push the foot out to the right. If I pulled it down, it would go to the left. Not quite working when we jump, but you can see the idea that you can affect multiple keys at the same time. Now it's not quite working in terms of the body, because I think when we jump here I'd expect the body to move over to the right to maintain its balance. So using the idea that the body will be above the center point of the feet. Okay, so how do we handle that? Let's have a think. So actually let's pull this key up from our initial pose. It should snap to it if I hold shift and middle mouse, drag it up. There we go, that's the same point. And then let's just pull those feet, have them start their journey towards the center, just to blend into what we were going for previously. And now let's fix the body during that initial launch up. So I'll grab the body control and the two hand IKs. And I'm just going to step through onto the keys and just eyeball it. So if I just move them over to the right, just so we get that torso lined up above the center between the 2 feet. So that's going to make him feel more in balance, and like those, both legs are powering his body forward. And just to explain that further, because we've got an asymmetrical stance on the body here, when you start to stand, both legs will engage and it's going to bring your body over to the right. I think if he stayed over to the left when he's jumping, it's going to feel like either he's got a weak leg on one side, or it's just going to feel a bit strange, a little bit off. So we'll just bring him over to the center so we don't have that effect of it feeling a bit weird. And now let's just keep playing. And I'm just going to keep playing it. I'm viewing from different angles, just so you guys can see, you know, how long this stuff does take. I will do this for a little while. I'm really just checking for paths of action, so making sure that nothing suddenly pops out to the side, for example, making sure that he feels like he's in balance, that we've got lead and follow, that we've got appealing motion. And appealing motion really is following all those rules of lead and follow, offsetting actions, nothing happening at the same time. I've just been looking at the chest, for example. So it looks like we've got an angle going this way, down to screen left, and then when we jump up it reverses and goes the opposite direction, which is good. It's nice to get some contrast in there, so I'm happy with that. But let's just have a look in the graph, I think on the rotate Y of that chest. I just wonder if it's popping left and right a bit, so let's have a look. So here we go. So we've got the keys that are going down are moving our chest out to the left, and the ones that are rising are moving our chest out to the right. So you can see there's a bit of up and down happening there, which is going to result in the chest moving left and right quite a lot over a short space of time. So I think I just want to grab some of these curves, these keys, sorry, and just blend them a little bit so there isn't such a big difference in position over that short space of time, because otherwise it's just going to look like that chest is bouncing around quite unnaturally. So I just want to just unify them a bit, still get some change, but here's a good example of being able to use the graph to just tweak our motion under the hood, as it were. So I think that's going to work better and it's going to be less noticeable. Often if you do have these big changes, it can just take your eye away from it and it can feel unnatural. So we're just trying to reduce that feeling. And let's just look at the hands now, just watching the path they take. And it just feels a bit linear, it's a bit of a straight line as it rises up. So I think we do something similar to we did on the feet and just have those arms, have the path they travel, just come in as the arm swings forward. So we're looking for an arc from the front. As the arm launches up, it's just going to swing in and then swing back out again a little bit as it comes down. So you get a bit of left to right to left motion rather than just straight up and down. So let's do the same on his left hand. So I'll just grab hold of that left IK and just again the same concept. We're just going to make it swing in a little as he throws it forward. So I'm just going to step through the keys and just keep tweaking that left and right and stepping backwards and forwards and just watching the path it takes. just to give it the smoother motion as we can. So it's just going to be a subtle arc as it goes right to left to right during the action. Let's just check that in the camera view. Coolio. Okay, so pretty good. I think we are just about ready to now move into switching this to spline and working on actually making this animate every frame. So let's do that. Let's call this blocking complete. Let's move on. See you in the next class. Cheers. Alright, great stuff. So now we have all our breakdown keys in there. We've got our original keyframes in there. I think we can call this blocking complete. Very well done for getting all those poses in there. So now blocking is complete. It means we're going to move into animation. So I won't say too much about it here, but join me in the next lesson where I'll tell you all about it.